Hey, y'all, thanks for joining the Farming for the Future Farm Viability Subgroup. This is a conversation about farm business development, technical assistance, and we're doing some introductions. And Elizabeth, take it away.
Hi, my name is Elizabeth. I work at Oregon Tilth. I'm the Education Program Manager for TOP, which is the Transition to an Organic Partnerships Program. It's quite a bit of funding from the USDA, and there's a nationwide effort to kind of do a farm mentor program, which Tanya and I's team member Hannah is working on, and some other aspects of that are trying to engage small to medium-sized farmers into organic transition. So thanks for having me.
Great. I can go. My name is Andrew, and I coordinate the Farming for the Future working group of the Oregon Community Food Systems Network. We are a working group of technical service providers and agencies and interested individuals who support Oregon's producers. And we deal with issue areas from land access, beginning farmer and rancher support, farm viability, and climate and ag. And got about over 200 people on our list currently of the working group who are watching these different conversations. And and today we were called in from Rose. She's developing a Native American farm mentorship and apprentice program at Elderberry Wisdom Farm, and is hoping to get some information from other technical service providers in the state on how they develop their business training materials. And I think we can maybe, for today, since Rose isn't able to join us, it looks like I'm going to email her right now, but it looks like she's on the road. Maybe we can just kind of provide a little bit of information that we can share this recording with Rose, if that's okay with y'all. If not, we can reschedule. So I'll open that up to the group. But yeah, that's where we're at. And anyone can jump in. I see Tanya or Rich are on mute.
I'll go ahead and go. I'm Tanya Murray with Oregon Tilth, and my focus is on farm viability. I have done some direct work with farmers through the Headwaters Incubator Program and also the Viva Farms Incubator Program around business development. I tend to focus a little more on farmers who have been farming for a little longer versus farmers who are just in their kind of startup phase. And so I think I focus on some skills that are kind of for the more advanced farmer, but happy to share resources as I can.
I can go. So Rich Schwartz, I'm an independent consultant. I'm based in Portland. My business is called Alder Street Consulting. And I've provided one-on-one business technical assistance. So I've not really been involved in teaching sort of as a class, but more on doing one-on-one support. And one of my clients happens to be Rose Bear of Elderberry Wisdom Farm. So Rose and I worked together last year. She had a value-added producer grant. And so I put together a feasibility study and a business plan for one of her projects, which is an organic blue elderberry orchard on a piece of property up in Aurora, and with the hope of harvesting the berries and making an elderberry syrup and bringing that syrup to market. So that was what that project focused on. And I'm still working with Rose, actually. We've got a project. One of the businesses that she's hoping to incubate through Elderberry Wisdom Farm is a native plant nursery. And so I've been doing a feasibility study on looking at that business, possibly coupled with a restoration, habitat restoration team. So that work is ongoing. I'll be working with her probably through June or maybe into July. So anyway, a little bit about me.
I can go. Andrea Kramer, Education Program Director for Oregon Agricultural Trust. We primarily work with farmers and ranchers on succession planning, but sometimes business viability and business health enters into that conversation a little bit. I'm hoping to maybe expand that. So TBD on that. But I put together programming. We collaborate with other organizations and then host workshops ourselves to outreach.
Hi, everybody. Amy Gilroy with the Oregon Department of Agriculture. And I'm in the marketing and development program area at the agency. So I don't regulate or inspect farms or food businesses, but I work with a team of trade staff who help promote and help develop businesses, farm and food businesses markets in local settings, national, domestic, and international. So helping get Oregon products all over the world, but also we have a couple trade staff who work more in the domestic space or regional space, and that's where I basically reside or where I support a lot of clients. And so a lot of what we do is provide support when it comes to navigating different regulations that a producer or a food maker might need to know about when they're going to sell their products in different markets, what kind of labels need to be there, what kind of packaging, what kind of food safety licensing they might need if they're going to sell direct or if they're going to sell wholesale. And so oftentimes, that's difficult for producers to navigate. We're working on a few sort of web-based tools to support producers finding a lot of these different types of resources to help them grow their businesses, especially new entrepreneurs or beginning and new producers. So we do have a new roadmap site. I'll put that in the chat box here in a few minutes. And it's mostly targeted towards food makers, but there's a lot of applicable resources. In fact, many of your organizations are probably already listed in the roadmap locator. We also help with co-packing and co-manufacturing. A lot of times producers are looking for someone to make their product. So in this case, if Rose was interested in getting to the place where, she was ready to scale her business and needed some help with bottling syrups or things like that, we often do a lot of matchmaking for co-manufacturing. And then the other aspect I'll share is that I also support the Farm to School program in Oregon. And I think many of you know about that program, but it's a $10 million program, and about 60% of those funds are specifically for reimbursing school districts and other eligible sponsors like early childcare, Head Starts, and others when they buy Oregon products. And so it's about $6 million about over a 2-year period. And we also have a toolbox that we're starting to sort of assemble a lot of different types of resources, worksheets, sort of activities for farmers if they're interested in working in their school communities. And it has a lot of useful information on kind of determining if you're ready to sell into a school. And we like to say there's a farm for every school and a school for every farm, but obviously there's lots of like sort of matchmaking you have to do and thinking about scale, but it can work. So so those are some of the things I was hoping to share today.
Cool. Can everybody hear me okay? My internet has been a little choppy.
Yeah, we hear you.
Okay, cool. Jeffrey Van here with Rogue Farm Corps. I'm director of the Future Farms program. Happy to be here. Happy to see some new faces and familiar faces, of course. Our program kind of is broken up into 3 parts. We have our Farm Launch program, which works with, Tanya mentioned people who are past the startup phase, we work with people who are in that startup phase or even in like the pre-startup phase, beginning farm businesses. That is through sort of combined cohort learning as well as one-on-one technical support, runs from October to March. So we're just about wrapping up our 2nd year of doing this with 13 farmers. Then we have our Changing Hands workshops, which happen annually. That's a space that provides some education, but increasingly mostly focused on networking between farmers who are perhaps retiring or aging out of farming, and beginning farmers who might be looking for connections to land. So big focus on networking and connections. That happened in February, one in Bend and one in Salem, and that was super, super fun. And pending our review of the evaluations, I think a success. So really stoked about that. And then finally, we just offer general one-on-one technical assistance, sort of on an as-needed basis to mostly farmers in the Headwaters program and farmers who are our training program graduates. So, but not necessarily limited to those groups. And that kind of happens, you know, again, as needed year round, but definitely with a focus on the sort of my low season, which is like March to October, which is not ideal for farmers. That's a little quirk that we are working on, but that's what it is right now. All the technical assistance seems to want to happen in like the month of February, pretty much. And maybe like, you know, a little bit beyond that, but of course farmers are farming during the season. So in any case, happy. Oh, you have a suggestion for me for how to proceed? Oh, you're on mute.
No, sorry. My suggestion was for this group for this meeting. If I had a solution for the March to October program, I'd be a different person.
Yeah. Yeah. Fair enough.
Yeah. Let's hear it, Tanya. I'd love to hear your suggestion.
But I was preempt. Jeffrey, were you finished? I didn't mean to
Yeah,
interrupt
no,
you.
that was it. That was 3 out of 3. Yeah, got it.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay.
Perfect.
Well, I didn't do much to prepare for the meeting, except that I did go back and look at just some notes on like some of the business skills organized sort of by stage of development for farms, which that part I don't think is the main thing I was gonna get at, which what I thought could be useful, but open to whatever you guys think is I could share a document that's just a list of like kind of the different business management skill areas that I think I heard a lot of us say we have. And then I thought we could potentially put onto it like our names next to the topic areas that are things that we either could offer. You know, it seemed like they're looking for support with curriculum development, but like maybe what you can offer is a resource, or maybe it's actually support with developing training on that topic. But it just seems like that would be a good start. And I think it actually could be really useful because often we talk about our programs, but like drilling down to those specifics might be a nice resource in general, I guess. So that was just a thought, totally not attached. If we want to do it, I have that document and can share it, and we can certainly add some topics because I don't think it's comprehensive, but
I think that's a fantastic idea. Thank you for bringing that.
But other, like, we don't have to do that. So other ideas about how to move forward?
I was just going to ask you all to describe where you get your materials and how you develop your curriculum so they can kind of learn from your experience. But I think what you're talking about is much more useful. So let's do that.
Okay.
I see Amy's unmuted.
Oh, I was going to ask about, and maybe, I don't know if maybe Andrew or maybe Rich could do this, but I don't really know the business very well. I'm wondering if someone could give a little bit more background. It sounds like she's interested in maybe finding different types of curriculum, but I was just curious if there's any, based on, you know, everything that we've shared about some of our background and expertise, is there anything that might be helpful to know about Elderberry Farm that might help us think through?
I can share. So this is specifically about their internship program for training Native American youth in farm and horticulture. And so the one thing that I have from Rose is their job description and the opening for the internship program. So it kind of describes what that program is, and I can share a link to that. Let's see. But if you wouldn't, you wouldn't mind sharing your doc, Tanya, and getting that started, and then I'll put that information in the chat, Amy.
Yeah, I'm working on
Great.
just that.
So here, I'll read a little bit of the description here. Elderberry Wisdom Farm is hiring a coordinator to lead the Native Agricultural Biodiversity Accelerator. We will provide Native American adults and youth pursuing micro-enterprise career pathways in environmental conservation, horticulture, and agriculture with paid internships. It includes academic and experiential habitat restoration service learning training with traditional ecological knowledge lens. EWF is forming 4 businesses: Indigenous Native Plant Nursery LLC, Native American Habitat Restoration LLC, Blue Elderberry Farm LLC, and the Native American Farm Cooperative and Farmers Market. Interns will be trained as emerging owner-operators of these businesses. So I know that they lost their staff, and so they're building this out as it is happening. So yeah, and then the internship. This 8-week internship includes 150 hours of classroom education, experiential service learning activities, and mentoring from Native farmers and training from educators who integrate Western science agriculture with Indigenous practices. Classes, da, 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 da. So what she asked from the last beginning farming rancher subgroup meeting is they are going to include a business development component. And so they needed support in how to build that up. So that's why they wanted to reach out to this group. Does that help?
Yeah, that's helpful. Do you know what types, I mean, did they go into any more detail about sort of what elements or aspects of business planning they were really looking for? Okay.
No.
All right, well, this is really messy. I was trying to put it in a table so that we could just like put check marks, but I can't. I was trying to reformat it to landscape. So if someone else can do that, it doesn't have to be in this form at all, but I just was thinking it would be quicker this way. And we don't have to do it on the meeting, but maybe we can revise the format or change things as a group.
Yeah, thanks, Tanya. This is great. It's a great place to start.
So would we just like put a check mark if
That's
we
what
cover
I
that?
was thinking for now, just because then she'll know. And obviously we have to add like names and contact information, but it just seems like a start to be like, oh, I do this, or I could offer this, because we're not all going to offer the same things. And Andrew, I didn't put you up there, but I feel like you certainly could. I just didn't know if you wanted to be in that capacity.
A thought that I'm having right now, just looking at this list,
Yeah.
would it be helpful maybe beyond checkmark to maybe put like a number rating of like how strong I am in that area? Because there's some areas in which I might be able to offer assistance at sort of the basic level, in some areas where I'll have a much stronger understanding. So I could like put a 1 to 5, or I don't know, maybe I'm making it too complicated.
Oh no, I'm keeping just someone else can weigh in. Sure, I think that sounds fine.
Yeah, that makes sense. 1 to 5.
And add topics too. I mean, this was what I had. Oh, I don't need that there.
And I can share this with maybe we can refine this a little bit and put a header on it and work on it a little bit, and then share it with the full subgroup. It could be a valuable, I think, resource for folks to look at. And if we get the full group to complete it, that would be, I think, helpful for the subgroup in general. Cool.
Yeah, it seems like if they could look at it, I know this is recorded, so I'm saying you or they. So, Rose's team could look at it and maybe give input on like if this is useful or like kind of what they're looking for. I think that could be helpful. Sometimes it might help just for them to see the topics too, just to have a sense even of like where they might want to start. And I took out the headers on like when, because I didn't want to get caught up on that in the kind of development process, but maybe if those are useful, we could add them back in, because I think that's the other aspect of it. Like there's a lot on here, and if I were going to put together a training, I might want a little focus, but to match like where the growers in the group are going to be at.
To Jeffrey's point about sort of, I don't know, evaluating our level of expertise, there's probably categories where there's a lot of overlap here, but various degrees, right? So just like access to capital, for example, there's probably a few of us on the call that would maybe check that box, but have different resources or different approaches. So I'm probably just gonna, for simplicity's sake, probably just mark areas where, if Rose or her team was interested in this, maybe if there's, maybe a few of us could get on a call if she's really interested, to say an example for that, for that particular topic. And we've all sort of check marked that. But I'm not really sure it's sort of like this, it's sort of a question of relativity, because I don't know the extent to which each of you know a lot of these resources either. So unsure how to measure my capacity, of knowledge, but I like this approach, and I think this would be helpful for her and maybe some others. That's my dog drinking water behind me.
No, I like this idea as a general resource, just to have a sense. I mean, even just in my own practice, there's areas that I'm stronger and less strong, and to know who else in the network, feels like they have either, personal knowledge or their organizational knowledge, or is tapped into a network of people who have the knowledge, right? That would all be super valuable to me as I think about, reaching out to others to support the work that I do. As far as categories, the one area that it seemed like I'm not sure we're quite addressing is just around sales and marketing. I see there's questions about sort of analysis of your channel or analysis of your sales, but just like, where do I start? How do I find a customer? Some of those questions I think are pretty basic and critical. It's great if you can grow stuff, and not so great if you have no one to sell it to. So.
I had a conduct market research one, but maybe that should be more fleshed out. So
maybe, yeah.
That could, I just threw this together in 10 minutes before the meeting. So
yeah, that was just one
yeah.
area that I felt like maybe we want to add another maybe box or two.
And I think, Amy, to your question, I'm going to lean towards the things where if someone said, could you help with this thing? I don't know if it's do a workshop or lead something or provide a resource by the end of the week. I'd be like, yeah, maybe, not oh, I'd have to do a lot of work, or I don't know, I'll lean towards things I feel like maybe more my strengths, I guess. Just because you're right. I think there's a lot that we could all do probably, but it seems like that would be the better way to go. And then if there's gaps, it also seems like that would be useful for us to all see.
Yeah.
Well, perhaps to Jeffrey's suggestion about a scale of some sort, maybe, I don't know what the categories would be, but something like I'm an expert in this. My organization supports this. I've got some knowledge and can help you find the resources if necessary, right? I mean, maybe instead of just like a 1 to 5 scale, but just having some sense of like what can you provide in this area.
I like that. It seems like maybe if someone put like a key on here so that our numbers all mean something similar, then we could just use that.
I like that.
Yeah, I think that's a good idea. Does everyone have access to edit? I do not have access.
Oh, gosh, I should know that by now, right? I just shared the link, but I'll change that.
If folks want to fill this out and then kind of maybe Monday I can look over it and clean it up a little bit and send it out to the full group. Or do we need a little more time?
I would probably need a few more days.
Okay.
Yeah.
No problem.
Same, a few more days would be helpful, I think.
How time sensitive is this? Could we say by next Friday?
Yeah, I think we can do that. I think Rose was eager, but there's we can do what we can. I think Friday's great.
Yeah. I mean, quite honestly, at the moment, I'm not sure how much capacity she has to consume the information that she's got. I know she had some people leave the organization and she's trying to backfill and has a lot of balls going at once. So
yeah, I think I think it's a resource for their new staff, so that you have some support hitting the ground running is what we're offering here, I believe.
I mean, maybe this is already going to happen, or maybe that's what was supposed to happen today, but it would be helpful to hear from those staff, like exactly, where their strengths are already and what supports they're looking for, and also like what their target audience is. The third piece, that target audience, like I feel like that is maybe the most critical piece in deciding like how exactly the technical assistance comes about. Because it varies wildly based on like past experience and also level of the business that you're in when you're approaching the work.
I think the audience is the Native American interns who are part of this program that they're recruiting. That's who they're delivering this technical assistance to.
So probably most on par with who Rogue, I mean, to some extent to who Rogue serves. Although I understood that they wanted help with curriculum development rather than like technical assistance, which I think are slightly different. And so that's an interesting, I mean, there might be technical assistance needed to develop the curriculum, if that makes sense, versus like someone coming in to provide the TA. So yeah, it's like more maybe being like a content expert to help develop that piece.
That makes sense. I mean, in a way that's easier for us. I feel like it's easy to share resources and let them do the actual TA rather than doing the TA ourselves.
Right.
Okay, that's helpful. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, or like review curriculum. Yeah.
Right. Do you know how long the interns will have? Like, what's the length of the curriculum?
It's in that
it's an 8-week program. Is that right?
8-week program. Okay.
That's quick.
Very quick.
And did someone drop that description in the chat box, or am I just not seeing it?
These 2 Acrobat links.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
There are two Adobe.
Cool. Yeah, I think we can only go so far without having Rose here and her team. So I think this is a great start. Thank you, Tanya, for offering that document up as a way to track this. And I think the only other question that I thought might be interesting. And yeah, I don't know how y'all kind of go about you have your personal expertise, but resources that you go to for this subject. I found the OSU Small Farms business planning page, which had some examples, but I'm just wondering if there's other like go-to resources that you all use that we can share with Rose.
For what topic?
Business planning. And it's on this what we're talking about here, you know, I think it whatever you think would be, from what you know, from what we've offered from Rose, would be of value. I don't think I can answer that like specifically. I don't know what they need exactly.
I can send I'll think on that and send maybe just a list of a few things that I tend to go to, maybe just like my highest impact kind of resources or something like that. I had a question about the internship. Is it for, I didn't see it in the description, but do the interns need to be adult learners? Do they need to be over 18? Or is that known? The reason I'm asking is because we do have a lot of the farm to school education funds can be used to teach school age children about agriculture or the history of agriculture, or even teaching them about how to grow their own food. It's potentially, if these interns were going to be, say, maybe some of them are in high school, or maybe some of them are getting ready to graduate, they may potentially be eligible for those funds. So I was just curious if that detail was known or not.
I don't, my sense was it was young adults was kind of their sweet spot, but I think they've got some other programs maybe that or partnerships to work with youth. And I thought that this was more for, I mean, it says youth and adults, so it's a little bit unclear, but in my head, I was imagining, you know, post high school. And I know at least 2 or 3 of the people who've signed up for the program are, you know, definitely adults, not youth at all. So.
Great.
Elizabeth, we can't hear you. I don't know, but you're not muted. There you go. That's better.
Hello.
Yeah, now we got
better?
you. Yeah.
May I ask a follow-up question, Amy?
Yeah, sure.
To the funding piece. So I know that what I've read, at least on the Elderberry Wisdom Farm website and through the job postings, is that there's a very distinct emphasis on cultural ecological knowledge. And so when it comes to potential funding or a funding stream that they might be looking at, what's the kind of reciprocal relationship that should be expected of Rose and of the farm itself?
In terms of being a recipient of the funds?
Yeah, exactly.
Well, I can send you, so with the education grants, there are some requirements in terms of sort of, they're loosely described, or sort of just like general parameters around what type of education should be taught. So there's general terms like food or agriculture that has cultural significance to the group that has the funding. There's criteria around you know, teaching children about making healthy choices. I'd be happy to send you the RFP one if you wanted to look through it. It's actually managed through the Department of Education with Oregon. So there is a actually, Tahoma Peak Solutions is actually doing a analysis of the farm to school education grant program to make recommendations on how it can be more relevant to Indigenous and Native communities and tribes in Oregon. So there are some changes that will probably be incorporated into it for the next biennium. But I think it there's potential in the future for it to be a resource that's more relevant for tribes and indigenous communities. I think it's been a challenge, mostly what we've heard from a lot of the indigenous people that we've engaged with around why isn't this relevant for them, or why have they not been accessing the funds. It has a lot to do with the timing of the biennium, and oftentimes it takes some indigenous groups a little bit longer to engage their tribal councils or their elders around applying for the funds. It can take more than 2 years sometimes, and the funding cycles every 2 years. It sort of cycles out every 2 years. So we are talking with our tribal liaisons in both agencies about actually taking a portion of the farm to school budget for the state and actually making it a tribal fund and just having it available sort of in an ongoing way, and trying to loosen some of the education standards around it or make them more culturally specific. So as it stands right now, with the legislative session, we're actually sort of waiting to see what the funding levels will be. And there's also a lot of sort of updates that will be made to the education grant program as well. And that's all kind of happening. That's ongoing. There's going to be a lot of opportunity for input on that as well. And so Tahoma Peak Solutions is under contract to do some of that engagement alongside the Farm to School network in the state. So hopefully there'll be some progress made there.
Thank you for that explanation. Yeah, I was just curious.
Cool. Well, thanks everyone for recording this so we can share this with Rose. We're going to put together this resource that Tanya started by a week from today, next Friday, the 17th, I believe. And we'll share that over to them and the working groups so folks can review and get a good sense of what we have skills and expertise wise in the network. And yeah, I think that's a great suggestion. Thanks, Tanya.
Sure. Does someone else want to add the key?
Yeah.
I didn't mean you, Andrew. It could be anyone.
Can we refine? Yeah, can we refine what that was again? Sorry.
Oh, well, I just think that was like Jeffrey's idea that Rich built on to like have some kind of like rate instead of just check marks, ratings of like what we're entering. But I was suggesting like a key so that it's not like, so that I'm not writing that out every time, but like the 1 through 5, but with those meaning something. I don't, if that's too complicated, we can each just write whatever, but that was where I thought we maybe landed with that.
Yeah. Yeah, I'll add that in there, and then we can question it if it's actually useful or not. And if folks just want to put like an X instead of a 1 through 5, you can just do that. And I think that indicates some degree of offering there.
Cool.
Great. Cool.
If there's an item that somebody has expertise in that's not listed, should they feel compelled to add that to the list, or is that?
Yes, please.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that's helpful. Yeah, like you mentioned the sales piece, Rich, if you wouldn't mind adding something on there. Maybe you already did have, but that would be great.
Yeah, mine was just throwing it out there as a draft, so change it up however.
Cool. Well, enjoy the rest of your Friday.
Yeah, nice to see everyone.
Yeah. Cool.
All right.
Take care. We'll be in contact. Yep. Thank you.
Thanks, everybody. Bye.
Bye.